Okay, if you read this, you'll find out that what we're doing here is, you'll find out that the man named Philo was the first person to write about the planet Saturn, and the Phoenicians called the planet Saturn Yahoo, spelled exactly the way that your browser is. The point of this video is to show you why I believe that the browsers, through sufficient evidence, do not just go into a computer bank. I believe that they go directly to Saturn. Once again, I just want to point out that I'm a researcher. I have no bias either way, and I'm just showing you through observation and much study that I think that something's going on here far above people's heads. So if you just follow along with me, it's a little bit of a long tape, but I think you'll get the gist of it as we go. So now we know that Yahoo was written about by a guy named Philo. Remember his name, Philo, Philo. And he named Saturn Yahoo. So we'll take it from there. Now this is interesting as well. The man that first wrote about Yahoo, named Philo, in his book Philo Biblius, he was a Phoenicia Cana, the first worshippers of the planet Saturn. Interestingly enough, if we fast forward to 1994, if you read this, you'll find out that the guy that wrote the program for Yahoo, one of the two individuals, his name is David Philo. Now, even though the spelling is different, it's astronomically almost impossible to even imagine that some guy from the beginning of time or civilization named Philo, and the guy in 1994, 6,000 years later, his last name is Philo, wrote about and created the search engine named Yahoo. I mean, it's just astronomical. These are the things that started catching my mind. Catching my eye and my mind to make me think, well, what's going on here? There's something greater going on here that we're not being privy to. So I'm just trying to awaken people to the fact that I think we've been lied to about a lot of stuff. Here we're going to look, it says Philo of Biblius, and what I'm basically doing is I'm just doing an overlay so you can see it's Philo of Biblos, and then you'll see it's David Philo. Once again, I can't stress enough that the odds are so astronomical that the same word Yahoo would be used, that the two guys that wrote about it would both be named Philo somewhere in their name. Even though the spelling's different, it makes no difference. It's the sound, see? They're playing a game here. So you just follow along. Hopefully, I think you'll get the gist of this. This is from the movie Bruce Almighty. As you remember the movie, if you saw it, you remember that the actor that played God was a black man. And a very good actor, by the way. But that's not the point. It wasn't a racial thing. The reason that they had a black man play God is because Yahoo is Yahweh. And Yahweh is the planet Saturn, and the planet Saturn's color is black. It's nothing more and it's nothing less. It has nothing to do with giving a black guy a break and putting the white man down. This is straight out of occultic writings. Saturn's color is black. And that is why he is playing Saturn. And Saturn is the ruler of this world. There's no way around it. Unfortunately, that name is also synonymous with Satan. So you better start getting your facts straight here and finding out where this stuff comes from.
I've been expecting you.
This is hilarious. So you're the boss and the electrician in the janitor. Must be a killer Christmas party. Don't get drunk, though. One of you might need a ride home.
You always were funny, Bruce.
Here we can see, it clearly tells you, it says, also amongst the Yahad, if a person was reading from the text of the Bible and audibly spoke the name of God inherently, blah, 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 but is now often pronounced as Yahweh, although Yahoo is probably the more correct pronunciation. So here we've established that Yahweh and Yahoo, the same spelling as the browser on your computer, is Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, which is the planet Saturn. So now we've made that connection. We also know from the movie, Bruce Almighty, that it goes true to the occultic writings that Saturn is, his color is black, and he's the god of authority. Interesting stuff. Stay with me. This gets even more bizarre. Now in this part where Bruce takes over as God, he has to go and answer the prayers, yeah? Well, you'll notice in the upcoming clip, when he logs on, he doesn't log on to Yahoo, he logs on to Yahweh. Once again, if you haven't seen this movie, you should see it. It's very good. It's got a very positive message to it. But this is very, very interesting occultic stuff. He logs on to Yahweh. The names are interchangeable, and they both mean Saturn, and they both allude to the fact that it is God. You don't have to be a brainiac or a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. So just bear with me. We'll move along. Here comes the clip.
You've got prayers.
Welcome to the Revelation Superhighway. We bless, no mess. Downloading now.
Okay, here we go. Now this tells you the Jews under Roman rule from Pompeii to that last word, I can't read it, sorry folks, but it clearly tells you that the word Yahweh is definitely identified with Saturn, Kronos, and who was Kronos? Kronos is Saturn. It's where you get the word cronies from, which are I guess like a bunch of little troublemakers, because Kronos is the god of time, but he's also the god of chaos. So here we're dealing with time, Yahoo, Yahweh. It all follows suit, folks. Stay with me. This here is just a little bit more information for you to read, to get a little bit better feeling for what's going on here. I hope this is sinking in, because this is extremely bizarre. I don't even think Stephen King would write this if he could write it. Here I'm just giving you some other names of the god of Saturn, but if you look, El, El is the name of the god of Saturn. So just take a look at that, and then we'll move on to the next clip. So now that I established Yahoo, now I had to go after AOL. If you read this, you'll find out that the word AOL is exactly from the same group or tribe that worship the planet Saturn and named it Yahoo. They also call it AOL. So now, which is the tempest, which is the storm, the anger behind Yahoo, the hate, the force. So here we have two browsers that are specifically tied by name to the planet Saturn. This is not by chance, folks. Trust me. Here, if we read, we'll see that during the sacrifice of the oracle, interesting, Aeolus / Saturn. Interesting, those two were named. That's where the AOL came from. Aeolus, Saturn. Once again, it's a tempest. It's a storm. It's the force behind the entity. Interesting. Watch what comes up here. This gets real interesting. Now we're going to start mixing stuff together here. In George Bush's speech in January of 2000, he makes a direct statement, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs the storm. What he's referring to is the tempest that is on the planet Saturn. It made absolutely no sense. I saw this on TV. It took many years of study to link this together, but he's making a direct reference to the planet Saturn through this speech, and I will give you a little excerpt of what his speech actually was. This is interesting. They mix a couple of them together. A tornado, Hulu documentary, Space Rip, a cyclone on Saturn from Hulu on AOL. So now we're drawing Hulu in. For those of you that don't know what it is, that is a place where you go watch archived TV and movie videos for free. So now we're drawing Hulu in. Let's find out who Hulu actually is. Well, interestingly enough, not only is this a Hebrew-Egyptian thing, well, we got to get the Arabics in there too. The word genie or jinn comes from the Arabic, the Muslim, which means demon. Once again, demon, we have terrible things. We have Saturn, which is associated with Satan. And so now we have Hulu, so now that you know what the word Hulu comes from. It is a spirit that resides on the planet of Saturn. Interesting. Kind of neat. This is kind of neat, isn't it? Your computer, take my word for it, these things, this is why they call this Windows, folks, because it's a window right to that thing. But just make no mistake, this isn't tinted glass. They can see you too. Here again, it's just showing Hulu and Alias, which is AOL. And then I'm going to do what I'm doing. This is going to go right into an overlay, and it's going to show you the same four colors: red, yellow, blue, green. The same ones that are associated with the video I did with the time cube, which is on the north pole of Saturn. The hexagon, which becomes the three-dimensional cube, which has four colors associated with, which are the four colors. It's time. As you look, here you go. You see it? Interesting that they're using the same things that Google does, that they all use the same four colors. Red, yellow, blue, green, all the same colors. Now for people that are into witchcraft, they could say, well, those are the colors of the seasons. And yes, I'm sure that that's true because there's different meanings for different things. But I'm just going by Egyptian understanding that I have from the pyramids. And those are time cubes, and this is definitely associated directly with Saturn.